Have you ever looked around and thought, why do I still feel this empty? Maybe you've done everything you were told to do, worked hard, raised a family, kept things in order, and now that life has slowed down, there's this quiet ache inside, like something's missing, but you can't quite put your finger on what. You're not alone in feeling that way. In fact, it's one of the most common feelings people report in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, yet almost nobody talks about it. You see, getting older is supposed to bring peace, wisdom, rest, but too often what it actually brings is silence. And not the good kind. The kind that creeps in during the quiet evenings. The kind that lingers after the phone call ends. The kind that makes you question whether the best years are behind you. And the truth is that emptiness isn't your fault. It's not a sign of weakness, and it doesn't mean you're broken. It means something very human. You're longing for meaning. You're ready to rediscover yourself, not as a parent, not as a worker, not as a caretaker, but as you. Let's talk about that emptiness. Not to dwell on it, but to understand where it's coming from, and more importantly, what we can do about it. Because that quiet ache, it's not permanent. It's a signal, a sign that something inside you still wants more out of life. And the good news is, it's never too late to answer that call. One of the biggest reasons people feel this way after 65 is that their routine has slowed down, but they haven't filled that space with intention. Think about it, for decades, your life was full, maybe even too full. Work, errands, raising kids, helping others, you were needed. And now, the calendar is quiet. The phone doesn't ring as often. You wake up, make your coffee, sit by the window, and wonder what to do with the day. That emptiness grows in that stillness, if you let it. But what if that space is actually an opportunity? Not a loss, but an invitation to finally focus on you, your health, your peace, your purpose. Let's start simple. The very first shift we need to talk about is movement. I know, it sounds too basic, but when you stop moving, your world gets smaller. Not just physically, but emotionally too. The body slows down, and so does the mind. A short walk each morning, or even just some gentle stretching in your living room, can shift your energy more than you realize. It wakes up your joints. It tells your brain, we're still going, we're still here. It's not about fitness at this point, it's about aliveness. And every step you take is a reminder that your story isn't done being written. Another small but powerful habit is hydration. I know everyone says to drink more water, but there's a reason for it, especially at your age. After 65, your sense of thirst actually weakens, which means your body might be crying out for hydration even when you don't feel it. When you wake up in the morning, your body is dehydrated from hours of sleep. A glass of water first thing helps your digestion, your brain function, even your mood. It's one of the fastest ways to start your day feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Now let's talk about something even deeper: connection. Because often the emptiness you feel doesn't come from your body, it comes from your heart. We all need to feel connected, seen, valued. And unfortunately, as the years go on, those connections can fade. People move away, loved ones pass, social circles shrink. But here's the truth, you still need people. You still need laughter, conversation, even disagreement. Human connection is what gives life color. That doesn't mean you need to throw a party every week, but maybe it means calling that friend you haven't spoken to in months, or joining a local book club, or volunteering once a week at a place that makes you feel useful, because you are useful. You have stories, wisdom, humor, and someone out there needs exactly what you carry. You see, this stage of life isn't about slowing down, it's about refocusing. You've already given so much to others. Now it's time to give back to yourself, to ask questions like, what makes me feel alive? And what do I want to experience before my time here is done? And it starts with the small things: movement, hydration, connection. These aren't just tasks, they're signals to your brain and soul that you're still living this life on purpose. They shift the emptiness into presence. They turn the silence into a space where something new can grow. You've earned this chapter. You've survived storms. You've said painful goodbyes. You've worked harder than most people will ever understand. And now it's your time to rediscover joy. Not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet kind. The kind that fills your chest when you take a walk and notice the birds again. The kind that comes when you take care of your health, not out of fear, but out of love. The kind that whispers, you're not done, you're still needed. This journey back to fullness isn't complicated. It's made of small steps. A glass of water in the morning, a walk to the mailbox with your head held high, a call to an old friend even if it's been too long. These steps matter. They rebuild your sense of meaning, one moment at a time. And now that we've talked about caring for the body and beginning to open space in your day again, let's shift into something just as important, the mind. Because even if your body feels stronger, even if you're moving more, you might still feel forgetful, foggy, or just a little detached. That's not weakness. That's a sign your mind is asking for nourishment too. In the next part of our conversation, we'll talk about how to keep your mind sharp, how to stay curious, alert, and mentally young, even as the years move forward. Because a strong mind is just as vital as a strong body, and you deserve to feel alive in every part of you. Let's keep going. So we've talked about moving your body, staying hydrated, and reconnecting with the world around you. But here's something that often gets overlooked, especially as we age. Your mind. You can be eating well and taking daily walks, but if your thoughts feel scattered, if you keep forgetting little things, or if your days blur together in a fog, that emptiness won't go away. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you were there? Or maybe you've picked up your phone to call someone, only to realize you can't remember who it was. It's frustrating, isn't it? It can make you feel like you're slipping away from yourself. But listen closely. That doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It means your mind needs attention, just like your muscles and your heart do. And the beautiful part, you can strengthen it. Even at 70, even at 80, the brain is like a garden. It'll grow what you water. The key is giving it new challenges, new input, and new connections. That's how you bring your mind back to life. Let's start with something simple. Mental activity. Your brain loves puzzles, not just the kind you buy at the store. Though those are great too. I'm talking about mental variety. Read something new. Watch a documentary on a topic you've never explored. Try writing down a memory from your childhood, or a story you've never told your grandkids. Every time you engage with something unfamiliar, you light up new pathways in your brain. That's how you keep it sharp. And don't underestimate the power of learning. Some people believe learning stops after a certain age, but that's nonsense. In fact, learning in your later years may be the most meaningful kind of learning you'll ever do. It's no longer about grades or performance. It's about curiosity, growth, feeling alive again. Maybe you pick up a new hobby, or you join a class at your local center. Maybe you even try to learn a bit of a new language, just to remind yourself that your brain still has room to grow. But mental sharpness isn't just about what you take in. It's also about how connected you stay. Loneliness is one of the biggest causes of mental decline after 60. That may sound surprising, but it's true. When your brain doesn't have regular social engagement, conversation, laughter, even disagreement, it starts to dull. It starts to drift. So here's a gentle challenge. Reach out to someone this week. It could be an old friend, a neighbor, a family member. Not just a quick text, but a real conversation, face to face if possible, or a call where you take your time. You'd be amazed what happens in the brain when you feel heard, and when you listen too. You might be thinking, but I don't really have anyone. And I hear you. Many people at this stage of life feel the same way. Life changes, people move, loved ones pass, but that doesn't mean you can't build new connections. You are never too old to start fresh. There are senior groups, online communities, even walking clubs where people your age are looking for the exact same thing you are, someone to talk to, someone to listen, someone who understands. And let's not forget about one more powerful tool for your mind, routine. Now, I know routine can sound dull, but the right kind of routine gives your brain structure. It removes the guesswork from your day and frees up mental space for things that bring you joy. Wake up at the same time each morning. Have a simple ritual, like morning tea or journaling. Set small goals for the day, like organizing a drawer, reading a chapter, calling a friend. It doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be intentional. That structure gives you purpose, and purpose, that's what truly wakes you up inside. That's what clears the fog. Because when you have a reason to get out of bed, something to do, something to look forward to, your brain begins to expect more from life again. But all of this mental activity, learning, connection, routine, it still only scratches the surface, because the truth is, underneath all of it, there's something even more powerful at play, and that's how you feel about yourself. Because even if your memory is strong, your energy is steady and your calendar is full, if you're carrying around invisible weight, regret, resentment, unspoken sadness, your mind can't fully rest. And that kind of heaviness, it doesn't show up on blood tests, but it's just as real. We're going to talk about that next. We're going to talk about emotional wellness, the inner landscape, the hard stuff that most people avoid, but you don't have to anymore. Because you've lived long enough to know that what's inside you matters, and you deserve to feel at peace. So as we move into the next part of this journey, I want you to take a moment right now and ask yourself, how am I really feeling? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Is your mind tired? Is your heart heavy? Or maybe you feel numb, like you're just floating through the days without much meaning. If so, take a breath. You're not broken. You're not alone. And most importantly, you're not finished. Let's keep going together. You've already started making space for physical wellness. You're starting to reactivate your mind. Now it's time to look inward. Because the emptiness you feel at 70, it might not come from your body or your brain. It might come from a part of your heart that's waiting, still waiting to be seen, heard, and healed. Next, we're going to talk about emotional health. We're going to talk about loneliness, grief, self-worth, and how to care for the parts of yourself that have been quietly carrying so much. Because a healthy body and a sharp mind mean very little if your spirit is dim. But don't worry, we're going to light that fire again. You ready? Let's pause here for a moment. Just you and me. You've taken care of others your whole life. You've shown up, held it together, and pushed forward day after day, year after year. But tell me honestly, when was the last time you really checked in with yourself? I'm not talking about your blood pressure or your medications. I'm talking about your heart, your emotions, the weight you carry that no one sees. Because the truth is, physical strength and mental sharpness are only two pieces of the puzzle. The third, maybe the most overlooked, is your emotional health. And at this stage in life, it matters more than ever. So let me ask you gently, have you been feeling more irritable lately? More withdrawn? Do you find yourself sitting in silence longer than you used to? Not because you enjoy the peace, but because you don't know what else to do. That feeling, that quiet heaviness, it's not something you should ignore. It's a sign. Your heart is asking for care too. You've lived through so many seasons, some joyful, some unbearable. You've likely lost people you love, said goodbye to old dreams, and faced moments of deep uncertainty. And sometimes, even after all these years, those emotions never fully leave. They just get quieter, packed away neatly behind daily routines and polite smiles. But they don't disappear. They stay with you. And if you never release them, they start to fill the space that should be filled with peace. One of the first things you can do to begin healing that emotional emptiness is to make space for gratitude. I know it sounds too simple to matter, but gratitude is not just a feel-good idea, it's a discipline, a practice, and it rewires the way your brain processes life. When you wake up in the morning, instead of reaching for your phone or immediately thinking about the aches in your body, pause for just 1 minute. Ask yourself, what are 3 things I'm grateful for today? It could be small. The way the sunlight is hitting the wall, the taste of your morning tea, the fact that you made it through another night. These are not trivial. These are anchors, and over time, they can pull you out of emotional numbness and back into presence, into joy, into life. Another emotional tool that is deeply powerful, yet often underused, is self-compassion. You've probably spent most of your life taking care of everyone else, being strong, being dependable. But here's the thing, being strong doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. Being strong means knowing when to rest, when to ask for help, when to forgive yourself for not having all the answers. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes. It's okay to miss people who are no longer here. It's okay to feel sad about the things you never got to do. But it's not okay to let those feelings convince you that your time is over. It's not. You still have beautiful, meaningful days ahead, but you have to treat your heart as gently as you treat everyone else's. Speak to yourself with the same kindness you'd give your best friend, because you deserve that kind of care too. And while we're talking about emotional care, let's not forget something incredibly important: you are not meant to carry everything alone. So many seniors suffer in silence, bottling up their emotions because they don't want to burden their children, or because they were raised in a time where you just didn't talk about feelings. But silence is not strength, it's isolation, and isolation feeds emptiness. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply say out loud, "I'm not okay right now," whether that's to a trusted friend, a doctor, or even a journal. It's powerful, it's freeing, and it's often the first step toward healing. That's why I encourage you to start expressing your emotions, even in small ways. Write them down, paint them, speak them, cry if you need to. There is no shame in feeling deeply. In fact, it's one of the most human, most courageous things you can do. And while you're tending to your inner world, make sure you also create time for pure self-care, not just brushing your teeth and taking your vitamins. I'm talking about the things that make you feel calm, rested, cared for. Maybe it's sitting outside in the morning with a warm cup of coffee, just listening to the birds. Maybe it's playing music that brings back memories. Maybe it's putting your hands in the soil and gardening, or closing your eyes and letting yourself drift into a nap without guilt. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to enjoy life slowly. And most importantly, you're allowed to prioritize your own peace, that emptiness you've been feeling. It's not because you're lacking something. It's because you've been pouring out for decades, and now it's time to pour back into yourself. You don't need to rush this process. Healing takes time, but even the smallest acts of emotional care, like naming your feelings, showing yourself compassion, or practicing gratitude, can slowly start to fill those hollow spaces inside. And here's something else I want you to remember, something you may have forgotten along the way. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are still worthy of love, joy, and connection. Even if your days feel quiet, even if the phone doesn't ring as much, even if your body has changed, you are still here. And that means your presence still matters, deeply. Now that we've talked about how to care for your body, sharpen your mind, and begin to heal your heart, let's take it one step further, because the next part of this journey isn't just about healing, it's about thriving. It's about building small but powerful daily habits that add purpose, rhythm, and joy to your life again. Habits that make each morning something to look forward to, not something to get through. Because you're not here just to exist. You're here to live fully, beautifully, and on your own terms. And that begins with how you spend your days. So next we're going to talk about the habits that will help you feel strong, centered, and grounded. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Not one day, but every day. Let's keep moving forward together. Now that we've opened the door to healing, to reconnecting with yourself emotionally and mentally, let's talk about the day-to-day. Because here's a truth that can't be ignored. The life you're living tomorrow is built by what you do today. Not in the big dramatic ways, but in the small quiet habits that stack up day after day and shape the way you feel. If you've been feeling empty, chances are your days may not be filled with enough rhythm, purpose, or joy. And that's okay. Many people in their 70s and beyond fall into routines that feel more like drifting than living. You wake up, you sit, you pass time, but the hours feel hollow. The days blend. That emptiness you feel, it grows in that space between intention and routine. So let's shift that. Let's build a rhythm that supports you. A daily structure that gently reminds you, I'm still here. My life still matters. It starts the moment you wake up, before you check the time, before you turn on the TV. Just sit still for a moment. Breathe. And ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Not what do I want to do, but how do I want to feel? That tiny shift in thought puts you in charge of your day, not the other way around. Now let's talk about morning light. Something so simple yet so powerful. Step outside for a few minutes as early as you can. Let the sun touch your skin, even if it's cloudy. Morning light resets your internal clock, improves your sleep, lifts your mood, and even balances hormones like melatonin and cortisol. It tells your body, it's a new day. It's one of the most underrated habits for emotional stability and energy, especially as we age. Then comes movement. But we're not talking about anything extreme, just consistent. A short walk around the block, some slow stretching in your living room, even standing by a window and doing gentle arm circles. Movement isn't about exercise anymore. It's about circulation, vitality, and ownership of your body. Every time you move, you're saying to yourself, I'm still in motion. I haven't stopped living. Let's also talk about meal times, because how you eat is just as important as what you eat. Try not to eat just because it's lunchtime or because you're bored. Eat with awareness. Sit down, slow down, taste your food, turn off distractions. Your body digests better when you're calm, and your mind benefits from treating meals as moments of care, not obligation. And don't skip water. I said this earlier, but it's worth repeating because it's that important. Set a small glass on your nightstand and drink it when you wake. Keep a bottle by your favorite chair. Hydration improves focus, balance, digestion, and mood. It's such a small habit, but it supports every system in your body. Next comes something many people forget: a moment of stillness. Not the kind of stillness that feels like boredom. The kind that's chosen. The kind that feels like peace. Maybe it's 5 minutes with your eyes closed and your hand on your heart. Maybe it's deep breathing while soft music plays in the background. This isn't a luxury, it's a reset. When you give your nervous system just a few minutes of calm, everything else feels more manageable. Another small but powerful habit is keeping your space clean. I know it's not glamorous, but your environment affects your emotions more than you think. A cluttered home can cloud your mind. A simple tidy up each day, making your bed, clearing your table, folding that blanket, sends a message to your brain. I care about this space, I care about myself. And then there's curiosity. This might surprise you, but learning something small each day is a habit. You could read a paragraph from a book, watch a short video about a new topic, write a memory from your past in a notebook, ask a grandchild about something they love and listen fully. These little sparks of curiosity light up your brain and keep your days rich and interesting. Let's not forget about evening habits too. How you end your day matters just as much as how you begin it. Choose a consistent bedtime and create a gentle wind-down routine. Dim the lights. Turn off the news. Maybe play soft music or light a candle. Take a moment to reflect on something good from your day. It doesn't have to be big, just real. Something that made you feel connected or calm or seen. These habits may seem small, but they're powerful because they remind you every day that your life still has rhythm, that you still have control, that you are still a participant, not just an observer in your own story. And here's the truth. The emptiness you feel often starts when your days no longer feel like yours, when you start to drift, when you stop creating. But building these habits, it brings you back into alignment. It fills the quiet with meaning. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just choose one habit to start with. Maybe it's drinking water in the morning. Maybe it's 5 minutes of breathing. Maybe it's opening the window and letting in the light. Just one, and then build from there. Every single habit you add becomes a brick in the foundation of your peace, of your joy, of your purpose. And speaking of purpose, that brings us to something even deeper, because habits are important, but where they're leading you is just as important. And many people, as they grow older, stop thinking about what comes next. They stop dreaming. They stop planning. They say things like, well, at my age, there's not much left to plan for, but that's simply not true. You still have time. You still have chapters left to write. And what comes next in your life is up to you. Whether it's something you've always wanted to do, something you've always wanted to say, or something you've never given yourself permission to feel, it's not too late to begin. In the next part of this journey, we're going to talk about planning your future, not out of fear, but out of hope. We're going to talk about purpose, legacy, and what it means to live with direction, even now. Because your story isn't done. In fact, the most meaningful chapters might still be ahead. Have you ever sat quietly and asked yourself, what's next for me? Not in a fearful way, but in a hopeful one. Maybe it's a question that hasn't come up in a while. Maybe it feels uncomfortable to even ask. But here's what I want you to know. Your future still matters. Your dreams, your voice, your presence, they're still shaping the world, even now. The reason so many people feel empty at 70 and beyond isn't just because they're slowing down. It's because somewhere along the way, they stopped feeling directed. When you no longer have a sense of forward motion, that quiet question creeps in: what am I really here for now? And here's the truth: having a future to look forward to isn't just for the young, it's for you. Whether you're 60, 70, or 90, there's still purpose waiting for you to lean into it. There are still people who need your voice. There are still things only you can teach. And there are still memories you haven't made yet. But you have to be intentional about it. You have to plan it. Let's start with something simple. What brings you joy? When was the last time you asked yourself that? Without guilt or hesitation, not what's practical, not what's expected, but what actually lights something up inside you. Is it travel? Maybe you've always wanted to visit a certain city, but life got in the way. Is it creativity? Maybe there's a book you never wrote, a song you used to sing, or a garden you dream about building. Is it relationships? Maybe there's someone you haven't spoken to in years that you'd love to reconnect with. Whatever it is, now is the time to make space for it. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't convince yourself it's too late. It's not. Your time is now. Here's something powerful you can do today. Sit down with a notebook and write the words, "What I want to do before my next birthday." And then list 5 things. They don't have to be grand. They just have to be yours. Something that will give you that little spark again. A reason to get up. A reason to plan. A reason to look forward. And yes, I know that sometimes the future can also bring anxiety, especially around things like health, finances, and uncertainty. But that's exactly why planning matters. When you make a plan, you take your power back. You move from feeling reactive to feeling in charge. Start by checking in with your financial peace of mind. Not to stress yourself out, but to give yourself clarity. Do you know where your money is going each month? Do you have what you need to feel secure? Are there resources in your community that could help, like senior advisors, benefit programs, or financial planning workshops? You don't have to do it all at once, but don't ignore it either. Money isn't everything, but peace of mind is. And when you feel stable financially, you create more room to focus on what matters most. Now let's talk about legacy. Because at some point we all wonder, what will I leave behind? Not just in things, but in meaning, in memories, in the stories people will tell about you when you're not in the room anymore. But legacy doesn't start when we're gone. It starts with how we live now. Every kind word you say, every wisdom you pass on, every moment you truly show up for someone, that is your legacy in motion. And here's a beautiful idea: why not take some time to write down your life lessons? Even if you don't consider yourself a writer, your words have weight, your experiences carry value. You could write letters to your grandchildren, journal your memories, or even record short voice notes sharing what life has taught you. These may seem like small things, but to the people who love you, they're treasures. You can also think about legacy through giving back, not because you should, but because giving has a way of making us feel alive. Volunteer an hour a week, offer your time or talent to a community group, help someone younger learn something you know by heart. When you give, you no longer feel invisible, you become needed. And that fills something inside you that nothing else can. And don't underestimate the power of reconnecting. If there's someone you've lost touch with, a friend, a sibling, an old neighbor, reach out. You don't need a big reason. Just "I've been thinking about you, and I'd love to catch up." That one message could reignite a meaningful bond. You don't know how many people out there feel just as alone as you do, and how much they'd love to hear from you. All of these things, joy, financial peace, legacy, connection, they come from intentional living. From asking yourself, not just how you want to spend your days, but why. Because when you know your why, your life starts to feel full again. You stop drifting. You start directing. And that emptiness inside, it starts to shrink. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because it becomes purposeful. And that's really what we're all looking for, isn't it? Not just to live longer, but to live better, to live deeper, to leave something meaningful behind, not just in the world, but in the hearts of those we love. But there's one more piece of the puzzle. Because even after you've built new habits, Even after you've made plans, reconnected with people, and created new purpose, there's still one more thing that will bring it all together: presence. Not just planning for what's next, but fully being here, right now. In the final part of this journey, we're going to talk about how to stop just making it through the days and start living them. How to return to the present moment. How to fall in love with your life again, even the quiet parts. Because at the end of the day, the secret to feeling full isn't found in what's behind or what's ahead. It's found in right now, and you deserve to enjoy every minute of it. Let's talk about how. After everything we've talked about, your body, your mind, your heart, your daily rhythms, and even your future, there's one final truth we have to face: you're still here, right now. In this moment, breathing, listening, existing. And that means something. It means you still have time to experience joy. It means you still have time to choose peace. It means that no matter how many years have passed, today still belongs to you. See, so many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond get caught in a strange in-between. They spend part of their time remembering the past, what used to be, who used to be there, the laughter, the energy, the responsibilities. And then the other part, they spend it worrying about the future, what might happen, what could go wrong, what they might lose next. But in the process, something heartbreaking happens. They forget how to live today. They forget that this very moment is sacred. This breath, this hour, this cup of tea, this sunrise. These are not fillers in your life. These are your life. So I want to ask you something, and really take your time with it. When was the last time you were truly present? Not distracted, not rehearsing old memories or rushing through a to-do list, but fully here, feeling the texture of life, the way the sunlight lands on your hands, the way your favorite song brings a lump to your throat, the way your body still knows how to move, even gently, even slowly. When you start living in the present again, the emptiness inside you begins to soften. Why? Because so much of that emptiness comes from disconnection. Disconnection from your own senses, from your own joy, from the gift of being here. You don't need a perfect life to be present. You don't need all the answers, all the people, or all the plans. You just need this moment, this breath, and the willingness to see that there is still beauty around you and within you. Try this sometime today. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. No noise, no phone, no agenda. Just breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your lungs rise and fall. And then ask yourself, what do I want to remember about today? When you start asking that question daily, your life becomes more meaningful, not in theory, but in experience. Suddenly, small things start to matter again. The way your favorite chair fits your back just right. The way the birds sound in the morning. The taste of fresh fruit. The warmth of a blanket pulled over tired legs. These are sacred moments. They are the thread that holds your story together. And here's the most powerful truth I can share with you in this final part. You are allowed to be fully alive. Not just existing, not just waiting, not just getting through the day. You are allowed to live deeply, even now. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to chase achievement. You don't need to relive the past or worry about what's next. You just need to be, and in that being, there is peace, there is wholeness. And don't let anyone tell you your best moments are behind you. That's a lie too many people believe. Your best feeling moments can still happen. That spark of laughter, that deep conversation, that quiet walk that brings unexpected joy. These are the kinds of moments that are still available to you every single day. You just have to show up for them. And sometimes that starts with letting go of regret, letting go of what didn't happen, letting go of the roles you once played and the weight of who you thought you had to be. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space for joy, for peace, for today. So here's a little reminder from me to you. You're still here. You're still breathing. You still matter. There are people who would be devastated if you weren't around. There are people who smile when they hear your voice. There are people, maybe even strangers, who are waiting for the moment your story touches theirs. But first, you have to see it. You have to believe it. You have to give yourself permission to enjoy the life you've built, not just remember it. That might mean slowing down and really tasting your food. That might mean calling someone just to say hello. That might mean watching the sunset without rushing inside. These aren't small things. These are everything. You don't have to fill every hour. You don't have to fix everything. You don't even have to know what comes next. You just have to show up awake, aware, grateful, and open. Because when you do, something amazing happens. The emptiness starts to lift, the loneliness starts to fade, and in its place you feel something you might not have felt in a long time. Enoughness. You are enough, just as you are. This moment is enough, just as it is. And if you carry that with you into your habits, your relationships, your plans, your presence, you'll begin to notice the shift. You'll start to feel full again. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are finally living with yourself instead of running from yourself. That is the key. That is the gift. Now, if this message spoke to you, I want you to do something for you. Take a moment right now to think of one thing you can do today to be more present. Just one. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's 5 deep breaths. Maybe it's writing down a memory you love. Whatever it is, do it. Make that choice for yourself, not for anyone else, just you. And if you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, what's one thing you're going to start doing differently after this? Your voice matters. Your journey matters. And someone else might be inspired by your words too. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more videos like this, because this isn't just a video, it's a conversation. And we're just getting started. You're not alone. You're not finished. And you are absolutely not empty. You are full of life. And you always have been. Let's keep living it, one meaningful day at a time.